All right, so we're here today with Doug. I personally want to say thank you for writing back and being part of this because you are the first person I've ever just cold DM'd because I saw your story and your story isn't what got me as much as your energy through a video, which that's why I love social media. You have such a positive spin on a very dark situation and always subject matter, but your situation is in particularly what I think people should want to hear because of so many different levels, which I'll allow you to explain it shortly. But before we get into the heavy stuff, can you give us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we can move on from there?
Yeah, so I currently live in Salt Lake City, Utah. I've lived across the country. I've lived in Austin, Texas. I've spent little stints from Washington, D.C., Little Rock, Arkansas. I lived in Tennessee, traveling around the world, and recently lived in Los Angeles, California for a couple of years. So kind of been someone who loves to live kind of a fast, big, expansive life. I love trying new experiences. I love going to new cities. I like trying new restaurants and really embrace, I would call, the human experience before I was sick. And that kind of led me to start a sales consulting company. I was in actually door-to-door sales, believe it or not, for about 10 years.
Wow. The old school.
Old school, and I loved it. I loved meeting new people. I loved cold calling. Sales seemed like a problem to solve, like a puzzle piece to put together, and excelled at that. And just not even really trying to, without really any intentionality, people just kept asking me for sales tips in the industry I was in. And so I'd give my pointers here and there, and then people started asking me to come and speak to their sales organizations. And so I started getting into speaking.
Oh,
And then about 4 years ago, I launched my company, Alchemy Sales Coaching. And what that turned into was kind of like a mentorship, personal development platform designed for those in the sales space. So we would do group calls on Zoom, and I do a sales training and a mindset training, and then people started asking for one-on-one coaching. And so I would coach people one-on-one on personal development, on spiritual growth, on sales skills and strategies and leadership and recruiting, and kind of really turned into this really fun company that I absolutely loved my job. I was traveling, I think, in last summer, the summer before I got sick. I think I spoke in like 35 cities. So it was really cool to kind of travel and go to like a random town, go to like an Oklahoma City, or kind of pop in for a day and check out the city and speak. And I really enjoyed. I was loving my career. It was really fun and exciting for me, and I got to meet really cool, interesting people all across the country, and hopes to help and inspire people to become better versions of themselves, and then also increase their sales performance as well in their career. So it was a great career. I really enjoyed and loved what I did.
any type of sales or specific businesses?
Yeah, most door to door. Yeah, so a lot of door to door companies. I worked with people in the solar industry, in the pest control industry, people who sold windows and meat and home security systems, and it kind of was like this weird little niche across the country that I found, and I did really well there, and it was like kind of a tight little knit community that I really appreciated over the years.
And that really picked up during, unfortunately, the COVID era, as because I noticed that was a huge thing during COVID with TikTokers, like exploring the door to door life.
Yeah, yeah. There was kind of like this little window with solar during around
Yeah.
2020 with a hot market that a lot of people are doing solar. So I you know I mentored a lot of those people and consulted for a lot of those companies, and it was really fun.
I'm an old school guy, so the old door to door salesman that just brings up like my childhood. Like that's
Totally,
it
totally.
really it built character.
Yeah, really,
Um,
really hard to do. I think door to door is incredible. If you can figure out how to do door to door sales, you can basically do anything. And so
yeah.
it was a lot of hard work, and it was really difficult, and it pressed you in ways that you could never imagine. And in a way, looking at it now, I think my door to door sales career was really prepped me to be able to handle a terminal cancer diagnosis.
Yeah, wow, we just went right for that one right there. All right. No, yeah, I was gonna say a lot of what you push yourself to do is stay in because it's all uncomfortable situations and learning how to manage them. Now you're in the ultimate awkward situation of how to figure out how to maintain it. So that is You know, it's the way the world works, I guess, sometimes. Like, I wouldn't be the guy I am today if it wasn't for all the nightmares and hell that I had to endure. Because
Totally.
I definitely shouldn't be a nice guy, but I am.
Yeah.
And it's, if you ask anyone from my past, they will not tell you that was the same me in like high school.
Yeah, you
So,
look at these moments we have in our life that are really challenging and difficult and stretch us in ways we didn't know was possible, and it just, it really forces you to level up and grow and expand. And whether you prefer it or not, or whether you want to or not, the natural unfolding of our lives puts us in situations that require new versions of ourselves to emerge. And whether, we can kick and scream the whole way through, but eventually that better version of ourselves will come through.
yeah. And, the quicker you can figure it out, the quicker you can live your life as best as you want for the period that we're here.
Yeah.
No matter if it's one day or 100 years.
Yeah.
As long as you're living it. Some people don't live and they live to 100 years old and they never experience anything. So it's all perspective sometimes.
Yeah.
So since we know that you had this life changing, can you tell us what you were diagnosed with? You're still young. So how old were you? Why did
So
you
I'm
just
30 I'm
smile?
37. Yeah.
You're what?
I'm 37.
Yeah, you're still young.
Yeah, and so it was an interesting time. So my first symptom started in January this year, so January 2026.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so that's when I felt my first symptom. And it was interesting. I was by myself here at my house. I'm a big football guy. Like, we're turning the corner into college football season. I'm so pumped. So like, I love college football. I'm a football guy through and through. And it was late January, and I remember I was in my house here, sitting in my favorite football chair, and I was watching the Bears playoff game. And I was by myself, typical Sunday night, everything's going well, and I had this moment. It's really hard to explain, but it was like my consciousness, my awareness got pulled into like a dreamlike state where I was like out of my body. It felt like it was the Matrix, and I just kind of like got pulled out of my mind. It was really freaky. And I remember like I couldn't like get myself out of this state of mind. And I remember I literally physically like whipped myself out of it, and I gave myself whiplash, like a physical.
Wow.
And I was just being like, what the hell was that? That was the weirdest thing that ever happened. It was this really weird out of body disassociative experience that rattled me. And I was like, that was the weirdest experience I've ever had. And so kind of went throughout my night, went to bed, didn't think much of it. It was just kind of like a random freak thing. And I woke up the next morning, and I have a great morning routine. I wake up and do the cold plunge and the workout, and I have a sauna in my backyard. I get done with my workout to go get into the sauna, and I had this wave of like fear hit me, and I like got scared to go get in my sauna in the backyard.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what is going on? Like, it was like I was in and out of reality. And this isn't maybe the podcast to talk about it, but I'm very experienced.
It's everything.
I'm very experienced in the psychedelic space. And so I've worked really deeply with plant medicines, with psilocybin and ayahuasca for healing and for spiritual growth. And what it reminded me of is, for anyone who's done an intense psychedelic experience, there's like this moment before whatever substance you're working with, before it kind of kicks in. You're kind of like not in reality, but you're not in the experience yet. And it's kind of like this messy middle place that as you're like waiting for the experience to start. And I felt like I was stuck in that middle place for weeks. And I was like, initially I was like, hey, did someone put like mushroom chocolates in my food or something? Like, I'm like, was freaking out. And it was just psychologically, I was having this difficulty of like feeling grounded. And, I'm a big personal development guy. I love, there's people like Tony Robbins and Michael Singer and, Ram Dass and, Zig Ziglar and like all these gurus out here. And so I feel like I have a lot of tools in my tool belt of like, if I get off track, if I struggle, I kind of can get myself back into a mental state, to get out of a rut. And between January and March, I just couldn't ever get myself back, and it was really frustrating because I'm like,
because you know your body also, and
I know my body, I know my mind. Like I own a personal development company for consulting and sales and leadership, and I'm like, how come I can't, like, what is going on? It was just really stuck in like this out of body disassociative moment, and I'd get these waves like about once a day. I'd be just sitting doing my normal routine, feeling a little bit out of my body, and then a wave would come where I'd get these moments of like impending doom. Wow. Where it's like the world's gonna end right now, and I'd freak out.
Did you think maybe, so it doesn't sound like you went to the doctors right away, so like were you also thinking maybe I don't know why it's what doctors seem to ask every time I walk in just for blood work. They're like, "Was it depression?" I'm like, "I came here for blood work. Why would it be depression?"
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
like what?
I went to the hospital 1 week after my first symptom.
Oh, okay.
And I went to the ER because I woke up in the morning with one of these waves of like deja vu where I'm like, I've been here before. This is a dream. None of this is real. And I'm like, am I going schizophrenic? There was still like a version of me behind the noise, behind the intense mental experiences, behind these that was still like aware, that was still me. And I was kind of watching my mind go crazy. And so I went to the ER one morning because I woke up in like a sheer panic, like that I thought I was going to die. And so my mom comes and picks me up. She takes me to the ER and they run a couple of blood tests. They do my vitals and they're like, oh, you're fine. You're having a panic. And I'm like, I don't think I'm having a panic attack. They're like, well, maybe it's an anxiety attack. What are you anxious about in your life? And I'm like, going through my checklist. And I'm like, health is great. Career's great. I'm dating a really cool girl. Relationship's great. Finances are great. I'm like, I have nothing to be anxious about. Like, my life's as good as it's ever been. And they're like, no, you're just having an anxiety attack. And so I don't have insurance.
Oh.
So that hospital, as a small business owner, that hospital run cost me like, I think it was close to $7,000. And I'm like, what a waste of money. Like, what are we doing here? This is so dumb. Like, why? I went to the hospital for them to tell me I'm having an anxiety attack. And so I go back home and I'm like, well, I guess I have anxiety. I don't know what's going on. So I'm like, started working with a therapist and I'm like, my therapist is amazing. She's a wonderful woman. But it felt like we were like really digging to find anything. And it's like, yeah, maybe we can connect these dots here. And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. And so I kind of just keep going through the motions, and then in February, and I'm still pretty much out of body. Like I just don't quite feel like myself, but I can still work. I can still kind of go through the motions. And then in February of 2026 is when the headache started to happen. And the first one I remember, I was actually at yoga. I was in a hot yoga class and I got like this piercing headache where I had to leave the class early. And I'm like, that's just not me. Like I've been doing yoga since 2016. I never leave a class early, even when I'm like dying. And these headaches would kind of come and go. And I remember just kind of like laying on my bed one night and I'm like, what is going on with me? Like something is seriously wrong. And so I started taking more medication for my headaches. And I remember I even went on that girl I was seeing earlier, we ended up breaking up because things were so chaotic. Oh, wow. And I don't blame her. And I remember I went on a first date with someone else in early March. And right when I get to dinner to meet this girl, I started feeling so sick. Like I got really nauseous. And then my headache kicked back in. And then I was like disoriented. And so like right when I sat down to meet this girl, I'm like, I am so sorry, but I need to go home. I'm not doing well. And so she had Ubered to the first date. And I said, can you actually drive me home? Can you drive my car home? I don't think I can make it. And so I'm on this like first date with this girl. She doesn't know who I am. And I'm having her drive me back to my house because I'm so sick.
One hell of a first date, Brett.
Hell of a first date, right? And she was so amazing. She like helped me get in bed and gave me medication and like was so sweet, amazing person.
And when we're talking about medication, are we talking herbs or like over the counter?
Oh, just like Advil,
like you're just medicating whatever you think the symptoms are.
I'd thrown up, so I was taking Pepto-Bismol, And in my head, I'm just like, I'm just going through something, some weird wave, like things are going to get back to normal. And then about a week later, my family and I went to go see Project Hail Mary, the new Andy Weir movie. And I'm probably 30 minutes into that movie, and then this migraine kicks in. And I call it the migraine that ends all migraines.
Cancer migraines are
insane,
because I suffered in my 20s from cluster headaches, which I didn't know was a thing, but apparently they're as severe or worse than cancer headaches. So they gave me cancer medicine to try to knock them out. That didn't help. So you just want to vomit 24/7 and can't move. I used to have to unplug my refrigerator some nights because it was so loud. I could hear, and it wasn't loud.
Wow.
It was like everything. So I know that feeling, and it's...
So imagine having that feeling and being at Project Hail Mary.
No. That...
So,
no, it's comfortable because then you're like, where can I go? What can I do? I can go here, I can go there. I just gotta leave.
Yeah. So I left. I ended up leaving my whole family, and I just left in the middle of the theater, and I went to my sister's house, and I'm laying on her bed. And I remember laying on her bed, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna die today. Like I remember thinking like, today's the day I'm gonna die. And so I pulled out my cell phone, and I started planning my funeral.
Oh.
And so finally my family comes back in and, I sleep through that night. And then eventually my siblings were like, hey, we don't care. We're taking you back to the ER. We'll pay for it. I'm like, but I'm not going to go pay $7,000 for them to tell me I'm having a headache, Like,
have you gotten the results yet from the blood work from the first?
Yeah, they said everything was fine.
Oh, so you did, and so okay,
Yeah.
that's even weird.
They're
Okay,
like, yeah, you're fine. You're having a panic attack.
but the blood work that they did came back that same day.
Yeah, everything came back fine. Yeah, I never got notified about it.
That's wild.
So finally, this is March 25th now of this year. My siblings took me into the hospital, and right when we pulled up to the hospital, I throw up again. So now I'm vomiting quite a bit. And I remember waiting in the waiting room to get checked into the ER, and I'm like moaning because my migraine is so bad. It's the worst headache I've ever had. And we finally get checked into the ER. My mom's with me. And the doctor's like, cool, we'll give him some opioids for his headache, for his migraine, and we'll just kind of send you on your way. And my mom's like, no, you're gonna scan his brain. And the doctor's like, yeah, we don't actually scan brains for headaches. And my mom's like, well, you're gonna do it for this one.
Wow.
And so my mom was like, I'm really appreciative of her like holding the line.
Is she in like the nursing field or medical field or just?
Concerned mom, like you're gonna scan his brain because I'd already gone into the hospital, 60 days earlier, and they didn't do anything, and so they gave me, I think it's called, what is it called, Dilaudid, which is an opioid.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, good night, I'm out,
You're like, do whatever you want to me.
I'm like, do whatever you want, I'm fine, I'm cozy now,
Yeah.
And so I kind of vaguely remember going in for a CAT scan, and then I remember kind of being in and out the ER room, kind of like in and out of consciousness. And then I do remember a doctor coming in saying, hey, we noticed there's some swelling in your brain. We want to do an MRI. And so like, okay. And I like vaguely remember laying on the bed with the MRI and the machine. And then they take me back to the room and I fell asleep. And so I'm like, I'm out at this point. And so I had some friends that had come to, support me, and some other family members had come to support me. And then next thing you know, I wake up, it's like 6:30 in the morning and I'm still in the hospital. And I'm like, what the hell am I still doing here? Like, why am I still in the hospital? I came in at like 4 o'clock yesterday. And I look over to my left and there's like a lounge chair or a hospital chair that kind of reclines. And my mom is asleep in it. Everyone else is gone. And then there's a garbage can next to her. And the garbage can next to her is filled with tissues. And I'm like, Mom. And she wakes up and I'm like, what am I still doing here? Why am I in the ER? And I can tell she's like emotionally distraught. And she goes, hey, I need to show you something. And so she comes over to my bed, she pulls out her phone, and I was passed out in the hospital room. That's because I was on so much drugs.
Yeah.
And she presses play on this video, just like on her iPhone, and she shows me the doctor coming in with the MRI results. And she's like, hey, yeah, your son has a massive brain tumor in his head. This is showing like a glioblastoma, and he needs to go into emergency surgery right away. And so it's so sad. Oh my gosh, it's so sad. I can hear my mom on the recording saying, are you telling me I'm going to lose my son? And the doctor is just about to talk and the recording stops. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so awful. And so that's why I found out that I had a tumor. And 6 in the morning, I'm in the hospital and they're rolling me into ICU to get me prepared for emergency brain surgery.
And at this point, they just think it's this cancer and that it's operable, and they really haven't given you or your family any more information just yet, right?
I mean, to be fair to the people at IMC, that was the hospital I went to, they were pretty direct with us. That like, hey, my tumor was huge.
So that was explaining all of your outer body experiences. That was depressing. And did they, sorry, I also like to find, I like the analyzing of it. Like, did they, obviously it was there for a long time for it to be so large.
They don't know. So a couple of, I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory. I was taking a bunch of peptides last fall and winter, including like a BPC 157, TB 500. And in theory, what they do is they help repair tissue. They can also feed tumors. Like they send blood.
Yeah, that's one study I started reading about just a couple of weeks ago, actually.
So I don't know. This is I'm not blaming anything, but I'm aware of it now. I don't think peptides cause my tumor, but I am curious that if I grew my tumor a lot faster by taking peptides.
From the peptides. I think that's more what the peptides really do than produce them. I think they just
I don't think
enable them because of the growth hormone, basically affects that more than the rest of your body.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I have a bunch of friends who are on way too many peptides, I tell them, but they don't listen to me.
So I probably grew my tumor way faster. So but they were saying like, hey, this is a really big tumor, and it's showing like they said that from the front, like this looks like glioblastoma. So they were like, but we'll have to do the surgery, we'll have to pull it out, we'll have to run a biopsy on it. But just so you're aware, this does look really aggressive and deadly.
Wow. And even just removing it's very dangerous, right? when it's that.
Totally. Yeah. So I went into surgery. They said it was going to take like 2 or 3 hours. It took 6.5 hours. And you can, for those on video, you can kind of still see my scar here where they cut me open.
Oh yeah.
But luckily, I call him, he has the best hands in the West, but Dr. Chuck Rich did my surgery and he was able to remove 100% of the tumor.
Oh wow.
So yeah, he said everything he could see, which is great. So that gives me a really good head start on this cancer diagnosis. But the issue is with the glioblastomas is because the brain tissue is so malleable, when these tumors start to grow, these cancer cells are everywhere.
Yeah, they spread out.
Everywhere, microscopic, and it's everywhere. So we do the surgery, and I'm still kind of hopeful. We haven't gotten the biopsy, or like, might not be cancer. Is it the 1% where this isn't cancer? Maybe, and I've got staples in my head, and friends are coming to visit me, and not taking the cancer thing too seriously because we don't have anything in stone. And then in April, we got our biopsy report, and it was just morbid.
It took a couple months then for them to really.
It took about 3 weeks. Yep. So surgery was end of March, and then.
I'm sorry. I thought February. Yeah. So yeah, March. So 3 weeks.
And the biopsy was it was really morbid. It was so if you Googled what are the worst cancers to get, glioblastoma was in the first sentence, and then of glioblastoma, what's the worst type of glioblastoma to get, or the worst molecular makeup of glioblastoma to get? It's the one I've got. So it's unmethylated, EGFR amplified, IDH wild type, grade 4. And so it's just the worst of the worst you can get. And, hearing that news in person was, it was took the air out of the room.
So your mother, your father, do you have brothers or sisters? Are they?
So my father passed away from colon cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In 2011. That's actually, I'm glad you brought that up. So, because one thing that happened that's really been a pivotal moment for me in my life, I'll never forget. It was the night after brain surgery. So I'm still in the ICU. Head had been cut open that day. 6 hours of tumor removal right out of my brain. And I woke up at like 3 a.m, and it was really hard to describe because it was like a dream and a hallucination at the same time, because I was like kind of awake, but like it felt like I was hallucinating, but it was almost dream-like. It's really hard to explain. But
you're on a lot of really good drugs.
Could have been a lot of good drugs, yeah. But I remember like it was yesterday. Like, I mean, it was almost as real as anything I've ever experienced. My dad shows up to me in this vision with my best friend's mom, who had passed away a couple years ago from cancer as well. And she was like my second mom. She like helped raise me, like when you're at your best friend's house all the time in junior high and high school, you've got like another mother figure. And she was that second mother figure for me. And in this dream, my dad and my friend's mom show up to me, and they immediately are like, hey, this is all taken care of. Don't stress, don't worry, we have it under control. We knew this was happening. We've been preparing for this. And then my dad shows me, it's really hard to explain like this vision in the stream, but my dad shows me that he was showing me that every problem, every obstacle, every hardship that you're dealing with in your life is intentionally and specifically designed for you, for the growth and evolution of your soul. And that if you truly could comprehend that and what that actually means on a higher level, you wouldn't waste any of your time feeling anxious or fearful, because all of this is perfect for you. And he kept using the word perfect. It was like, this is perfect, this is perfect. And in my head, I'm like, what do you mean this is perfect? I've got cancer, I'm gonna die. Like, what do you mean this is perfect? And it was just this reminder that perfect doesn't mean preferred, doesn't mean pleasant, doesn't mean you like it or agree with it, or that it's fun, but it's the perfect thing you need to go through for the evolution of your soul. And where I sit on my spiritual lens and my spiritual beliefs, right? I believe that the soul is eternal, and I'm actually a soul, and that there's going to be progression and expansiveness, for multiple eons to come. And so hearing that gave me a giant sense of relief. So I'm like, oh wow, like this is just the curriculum I have to go through right now to evolve and grow and get better. And that's brought me a lot of peace in such a tragic situation.
No, I mean, sometimes you need those moments. It's like life lessons from the people that you love that you didn't even know were still around. Mm-hmm. There's something special in them. If they allow themselves, they can feel other things. So I think it's a beautiful moment. I think it's probably was the perfect moment that you needed for you to take the next steps, because now you're in the hospital, you're with your mom and some friends, it sounds like, and you get a life sentence. You have two choices. You either live your life or your life just ends right there. And it sounds, from everything, just from your energy and from now this conversation, forget what we've already said. I think everyone can feel you chose the path of fuck cancer. I'm going to take whatever months they gave me and I'm going to live the best life I ever could have lived that I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have lived if I didn't get this diagnosis.
And I would challenge that in the words you said. The way I'm holding it is that I love my cancer. Like, this is my teacher. This is here to help me grow and expand. I don't like it. I wish I didn't have it. If I could snap my fingers and get rid of it, I would for sure. But I can't change reality. The reality is I have terminal brain cancer. That's reality. If I fight with that, I lose every time.
And
Can
then
there
you're
be
not
a miracle? Can there be a miracle and I get over this thing? But maybe, like little percentage, maybe for sure. I'm not counting that out. Now I'm holding, someone's got to be the first to beat grade 4 methylated glioblastoma. Someone's got to do it. I'll hold the reality that could be me. And at the same time, I'm okay with what's happened. I'm okay with it. And can I actually learn to love my situation now that I'm here? And I don't want to be here at all, by the way. And now that I'm actually here, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I get better from this? How can I help other people? And in hopes that can something I say or bring or do help lessen the suffering of other people? And if I can do that,
that will 100% be what happened. 100% without a doubt, because it's knowing that other people go through this, even though no one ever talks about it. People are sitting silent somewhere right now going, fuck, I got 2 months to live. I got 7 months to live. I got 2 years left. And their life just ends right there. Yeah. And, someone's going to hear this and be like, you want to know what? I might have 6 months, but I'm going to live this 6 months. Yeah. And that might be their best 6 months they've ever lived. It will hit the right people when it needs to hit the right people. Kind of like...
Another thing that's kind of been apparent to me as I go through this situation is the tragedy of my diagnosis is not that I'm going to die. The tragedy of it is the timeline we were attached to of me living. Everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
Right? If this happened to me when I was 102 years old, be like, oh man, that's too bad. It's because of 102 people say that's a long full life, and so
you lived a life.
Yeah, there's a 1-to-1 ratio on planet Earth of everything that has ever lived, not just humans, plants, animals, everything that's ever lived to everything that's ever died. So it's not a matter of oh my gosh, I'm going to die. That's so terrible. I think death is a beautiful thing. I don't see death as a mistake. I don't see death as an error or a failure. Death is very much a natural part of life, and everything that's ever lived is going to die. And so my mission for myself, as I go introspective on my personal beliefs and how I view life, is how can I be the most prepared, the most present, and the most welcoming to my death when that does come. And I hope it doesn't come for a while, but if it were to come tomorrow, can I learn to accept that and be present for that as I go through that transition?
I think you've answered that with a big yes. Mm-hmm. Now, on a totally different point of view, how's your mom holding up with this?
Yeah, my mom, she's amazing. My mom is so special. I have so much love for her. The hardest part about my entire diagnosis is my mom. Watching her go through this. My mom's also really strong. My dad died in 2011, and my parents had a really beautiful relationship, a really beautiful marriage. The very next day after my dad died, my mom's mom died.
Oh, wow.
So she lost her husband and then her mom 2 days in a row. And then 6 months later, her closest brother, one of her best friends, died with a heart attack. So my mom has experienced a lot of death and a lot of loss of people she really loves and cares about.
But it's still, they always say no parent should ever have to bury a child. Yeah. Doesn't matter how old you are. Yeah. You're still her baby.
Totally. So yeah, she's grieving in her own way. We're also really optimistic of the treatment care that I have. I'm in an incredible clinical trial that I'm actually starting in a couple of days.
Nice.
Which is promising, So there's this part of us where we're hopeful, and it's two things we've got to care here. It's someone's got to be the first, and can I live a long and healthy life and be the one to beat the odds? And at the same time, how do I prepare for my death? So living both of these at the same time has been, actually, I'm going to say the word special. It's been really special. It's really caused me to grow in ways I didn't know I was capable of growing.
Oh, I can imagine. Now, I want to say, hopefully I word it right. What's the percentage of a timeline that they gave you? And is that timeline based on more lifestyle, since they were able to remove it? And I don't know if you've gone back and they see other new growths yet, or that's kind of what they wait for, because that's when it comes back. Right now, you're keeping a clean lifestyle. You're probably following all the checks off on the list.
Yeah.
And I don't know if does that vary times that they give you.
Yeah, there's a couple of things with glioblastoma that really affect lifespan. Having a really clean surgery, getting full resection is a big piece, which I did have, which was awesome. Age and health, I'm 37, I'm young, I'm healthy. That's a big piece. But the overall statistics are 95% of all people diagnosed with glioblastoma die within the first 5 years. Where that number gets even more intense is if you take in the molecular profile of my tumors, which is unmethylated EGFR amplified. That makes it more deadly. So that number, if you were to take the statistics, on a 10-year survival rate, it's 0%. So it's like 0.0001%, so you round it down to 0. So it's not good. It's really low. So that's the reality of my situation. The 10-year survival rate rounds down to 0%. And at the same time, I'm feeling optimistic of the trial that I'm in. I'm in what's called a CAR-T clinical trial at the University of Pennsylvania.
What does that entail?
Yeah, so what that is so we have in our body kind of natural cancer-fighting cells called T cells. They keep us really healthy. Cancer cells are able to hide from the T cells. So what this process does is, I just did this last week in Philadelphia. As I went to Philadelphia, they extracted my T cells out of my body. They then send them to a lab where they add a CAR molecule, C-A-R molecule. They bioengineer them to create a CAR T cell. And these CAR molecule is basically a mini antenna that attaches to the cell, which is now able to teach the T cell to find your cancer and kill it.
Cool.
Really cool.
Is it somewhat like stem cell research also, or is it very...
I'm not too familiar with stem cells, so I wouldn't be able to answer that for you, but kind of an exciting part is it's kind of my last week. I'm going to get a port, it's called an Ommaya reservoir, installed on the top of my head right here. I'll have it the rest of my life.
Oh, wow.
And then on August 17th, my first CAR-T injection goes straight into my brain. So hopefully that will fend off and fight all the excess cancer cells.
Knocking on wood. How many treatments? Is it just one treatment, or is it multiple levels to this trial?
I can get up to 6 injections. My oncologist, I'm under the care of Dr. Bagley at UPenn. He estimates I'll get 2 to 3. So I don't think I'll need all 6, but I should get 2 or 3. The injections themselves have some pretty intense side effects due to the brain swelling. So I'll be under pretty intense care and close care. I'll be in ICU for about a week post-injection. And I feel really optimistic. I feel intuitively, I felt like this was always the trial I wanted to get into. And it's really the first of its kind, given CAR-T to someone on the front end of their treatments. CAR-T for glioblastoma is usually given to patients when they have tumor regrowth in hopes to shrink the tumor. This trial I'm in is seeing, hey, if we inject CAR-T into newly diagnosed patients with minimal tumor, will that delay or postpone the length of how long it takes for the tumor to grow back?
And what has the results been on the ones that they've done when it's come back?
When it's come back, the last treatment they did is they gave 6 people that had regrowth, and in all 6 patients, the tumor did shrink, which is exciting. So everyone had tumor shrinkage. Eventually what happens, though, is the body will fight off the CAR-T cells. So your body sees the CAR-T as a threat, kills off the CAR-T cells, and the tumor goes back. And so we're trying to find this middle ground of how can we get the CAR-T cells in the body, keep them in the body to kill cancer cells and keep the tumor from growing. So it's still really early in the science, still figuring out, but I do feel really blessed and honored to be a part of a clinical trial on the front end.
And it's always exciting, hopeful. Science is cool when it comes down, because I've always I've been reading about cancer since I'm 11 because of my mom, and it was always that one question. It's like, well, if we know that we have cancer cells and you know where they are, I was always a kid. I was like, why don't we just remove them? They're like, you can't just remove them. I was like, but we know we have them. Why aren't we upping our white blood cells, or when they're promoting a fighter? So it kind of has that what I was talking about, when I was 11, creating something that would fight blood cells from inside, and that's kind of very cool. And you never know; you just have to be that 1%.
Yeah, I'm open to being that 1%.
Someone wins the lottery eventually. I mean, not me.
Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it.
That's interesting. And because stem cells, it's just a lot of, they remove your blood or they take from they basically duplicate it and make the healthier version. Then they put it back in specifically where they want it to be most receptive for what their cause is. So, but there's a lot of side effects with stem cells that no one seems to talk about. I don't know how, if you're with a doctor that seems to be very blunt, which I think is great.
Yeah.
I'd rather just know the truth so I know how to handle it. But you're also a sales guy and a business guy. So it's like, at least if I know what the problem is, I can figure out how to solve it.
Totally.
And
Totally.
that's, yeah. So, can I ask a totally personal question that I could leave out if you want me to? So, how are you able to pay for this had, if you said several times, you must be like going through everything.
Yeah. So I've been really blessed to have fundraising help. GoFundMe that's done pretty well. My friend also threw me a golf tournament that raised multiple six figures as well. So I feel like
Oh,
I'm
wow.
grateful. The beautiful part about this whole thing, the reason the clinical trial is such a gift, is that clinical trials are free. So the trial themselves pays for the trial in hopes, to get the data they need to get it FDA approved. So my treatments are free through the clinical trial, which is life-saving. I do have to still pay for basic, blood work and basic anything that I'd be going through, regardless of the clinical trial. I still cover, but I've had a lot of help with fundraising, which has been great.
No, that's great. So, I guess I'm going to bring it back a little bit because you've spoken about relationships and you kind of had this moment when we spoke before, like analyzing and looking back and seeing where your life is going to where it was. And you talked about relationships. You're out of relationships now, and you told me you never married, no kids. But
Never married, no kids. And I look, for a lot of my life, that was always kind of like a frustrating part of my life. I'm like, man, how come I haven't found someone to get married to? I'd love to have a family, and have a beautiful wife and kids. It's kind of always been a dream of mine. And I was always kind of frustrated of like, dang, why hasn't it worked out for me? And now I'm like, oh, what a gift. Like, I'm so glad I don't have a wife and kids right now. Because it'd be really hard to leave them behind. I have amazing friends. I have an incredible family support system. I've had, I call them lovers along the way, that I've kind of reconnected with some ex-girlfriends who have showed me a lot of love and appreciation. And it's been really sweet to connect with people that I've dated in the past. And now, given the situation, we can kind of like lower our guards down and just connect as human beings. And so I feel more love than I've ever felt in my whole life. And I just feel so grateful for the relationships I've made over the many years. And, it's been really actually beautiful to reconnect with people I haven't talked to in a long time. I've lived in multiple cities over my life, and I've met friends kind of in each hub. And to kind of reconnect with friends from Austin and reconnect with some of my friends from LA. And, it's been such a blessing, and it really has been a testament to me and a reminder that probably the most important thing in life has got to be relationships.
Yeah.
And so having so many friends and support and family, I'm single, I live alone, I've never been married, I don't have kids, and I've never felt more overwhelming love and support in my entire life.
again, that's like the beauty that comes from darkness, right? You find one light to replace what you thought was light. So that's, I don't know why as humans, we only seem to really wake up when we're told we're going to never wake up again. And I understand that from a different perspective. And I gotta say, you probably did better than me. When I was 29, they gave me 6 months to live, basically. They said, you're not going to see your 30th birthday. We can't even figure out how you're in here. I was in and out of hospitals almost for like 6 years.
Yeah.
In and out, working 60 to 80 hours a week, and then not telling anyone. I was jarnous. My liver was failing. Then it would be good. I'd be up or down 20, 30 pounds. I would just pass out in the middle of things. My brain was swollen at a point. And just they couldn't, and they still to this day have no idea what fucked me up in my 20s.
Wow.
And then when I was so bad at like 29, remember, it was like literally 6 months before my 30th birthday. They just sat me down in a room. And again, bedside manner is not like when we were kids. I'm a little older than you by a lot. I just remember the doctor just walking in, he goes, do you have your affairs in order? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, do you have you got your lawyers? Do you have your will? I was like, why? And then they were like, went through a whole bunch of things. I remember zero because my mind went down a tunnel. And I walked out. I went to a bar. I drank the whole night. And then I went home and I threw away every single medication they had ever given me over the last 6 years.
What was the reasoning behind that?
I was like, if it's not going to fix me, I don't need to keep taking shit that's killing me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working in my book, apparently, when they just give you that diagnosis. And I had a cousin, he's like a cousin, like family member, but not a family member, who's crazy in the world of medicine, but also Eastern, Western medicine, Diane. He's just like one of those guys that he was a chiropractor, but he had all these knowledgeable things in like medication field. And he was the guy that like celebrities hired. So we found this great, just natural company that did herbs and just went through like this crazy, like 45-day detox. And it was the first time in almost 10 years all my blood labs went back to normal. My skin cleared up, my jarness went away, and I mean my jarness came back several times. They had to stint me, like I think my liver was stinted 4 or 5 times, and it just kept, they just couldn't figure out. And then I did this thing, it was like a miracle thing that just was like, you get the second chance. But it's like, I feel like every part of my life keeps being a second chance. Why I do bring a voice. So like, I'm basically, which I didn't even realize, someone told me when I was 30 I'm an orphan. Didn't even realize that, never like fathomed, because my father and my sister were killed when I was 14.
Wow.
And then my mom had cancer prior to the accident, and then she was cancer free after it came back with a vengeance because she was part of the accident. And I had to take care of her when I was 14 years old for like three and a half years, and then she passed. I had never thought of myself as an orphan. No one ever called me an orphan until I was 30 something years old. That was weird. I think I've always just keep looking at life like, let's go. Like, and I was a child baby in the 70s. I have double open heart surgery and bypass because I was born basically dead. So that's why I think I love your attitude, because it's like, there is an end point. We don't know exactly when. It doesn't matter if it's tomorrow or in 10 days or in 10 years. You gotta wake up and live. And you're surrounded by people that love you, which is the greatest gift in life, because that's hard to do these days.
I feel so blessed and so honored. Yeah.
And I take it you probably dissolved, you don't have the sales company anymore, do you?
It's on. All my clients have been super awesome through all this.
That's
And I just said, hey, I might need to put you on pause for a little bit, and everyone's been cool and how they can support. Actually, I did take a sales call, mentorship call, maybe an hour and a half before this call.
Nice.
So I still have some clients that I love working with that I'll catch up with and help them with their strategy. Right now my mind's really sharp, and so my leadership and strategy is still there, and so helping and trying to serve as many people as I can while I still feel healthy.
Well, it will keep you sharp too. At least keep you active and your brain thinking past just one thing. So, no, man, I respect you. I respect the vibe and the attitude that you're giving and showing the world. So, I don't know. You probably hear that a lot because it sounds like you got good people. But I don't usually just look at people's pages and be like, I need to talk to that guy. Because, again, don't like being on camera. But I needed to talk to you because I loved your energy. And it resonates through a computer. And you're obviously a pro. You do speakings at things, so you love this. But no, it's encouraging. I think it will encourage people so much more than you even realize. So if you had to know the perfect reason, and that was one of the perfect things that you indicated, it's 100% there.
Thank you.
If that, did you ever play the devil's advocate? Why me? Why this? Go down the rabbit hole? Have you had those down moments? And or do you think your training and your lifestyle has prepared you in a sense to get past that quicker?
Never why me. I did have one afternoon where I got really pissed, like really mad, like this freaking sucks. Like I hate this. And I think that was really healthy. One of my favorite quotes is from John Kabat-Zinn, who's a mindfulness teacher, and he says, you can't stop the waves from coming, but you can learn how to surf. And so these emotional waves will come: sadness, grief, anger, disappointment, frustration, whatever it may be. So when they show up, I just let them come in, So I'm like, oh, I'm really angry about this right now. And so I got really mad and I screamed and I yelled and I punched some pillows and had like this cathartic, deep yell come through and scream. And that felt really good to release that and move through that. But other than that, it's, I think my entire spiritual practice and my mindfulness practice of the last 15 years has been preparing me for this. I think this is my greatest teacher right now, and there's moments where I'm sad, and there's moments where I'm grieving, and there's moments where I feel scared. But I just kind of move through them and let them come and go. I like to think that I'm the sky, and the clouds that come through are all of my thoughts and all of my emotions, whether they're pleasant or unpleasant, and I let be whatever is present.
No, I think that's real. I think that you definitely, your life has gotten you to the point where you could be so strong now.
Thank you.
It's weird how we never know that might be our purpose until it has to be our purpose.
Yeah, totally.
It's interesting. So I guess if you could sit across from a younger version of yourself, even though we know you're a positive person, knowing everything that you know, would you have any advice for yourself?
Yeah, I would. I mean, if I was talking to a younger version of myself, I mean, it's hard to say because I'm grateful for the trials and the hardships that I went through when I was younger, because it helped shape me into who I am today, and I needed those trials. But I guess if I could say something, I would say something along the lines of just don't waste your energy feeling anxious. Probably, don't fight with life. Let life happen. Life is your greatest teacher. Let life unfold, the beauty and the joy and the love, and then the despair and the frightening parts of it too, that they're all here to teach you to learn and grow, and stop trying to fix life and merge with life would be my advice. It's kind of a woo-woo thing to say, but that'd probably be the advice I would give.
And if you had advice or like one little piece that's different from like your own self, and someone randomly is watching this right now and kind of feeling in a shitty dark room right now, what would you say to them? Because you know that they're about to go through and they don't have the tools that you've learned through your 15-year career. What would you try to say to that young kid that's like, fuck, they just gave me a death sentence? You know, you hear the word cancer to anyone. Sometimes it's not a death sentence, but the second any patient hears that C letter comes out before even the whole word, people automatically think death.
The first thing, it'd be two things I would say. The first thing I would say is just give immense compassion. Be with that person. I'm so sorry. I can be with you in this moment and feel you in your depth and your despair. And, you know, it's an incredible place, and I'm willing to feel that with you. And then the second thing is just, you know, similar message all the way through, is just whether you can see it or not right now, whether it's probably going to be painful, it's going to suck, you're going to hate it. But if you can just quiet your mind a little bit, open up your heart through this whole experience, right, you can get back to the light, get back to the part of yourself that's at peace through this whole thing. And in those moments where you can find the peace is where you'll probably see the most growth as well.
I like that. I like that a lot. I would like to ask, and this is like, you can have an ego, you can have like an outer body thing. What do you want your legacy to be? Because you know there's a time frame that's unknown, but you know, in a sense. So from this experience, you've grown obviously so much. Just, it's such a short amount of time. That's what's like crazy. We're in, what, August, basically?
We're in the corner into August.
Yeah, so is there a specific thing when people look back, this is how they want to remember Doug?
I mean...
Or how you want them to remember Doug?
I don't know. I think I've never really thought about it that often. If I had to pick something, I think it would be nice or satisfying, or I feel like I've maybe done, you know, been aligned with my life's purpose, whatever I want to call it, is if people are like, oh, you know, if I look back on Doug's life, what I learned from Doug is that life was not the enemy. Life wasn't an enemy. Life wasn't trying to hurt me, but actually life was trying to teach me. And that if I could learn to be able to accept reality the way it is and be able to manage my emotional state and be able to remind myself, you know, that I can handle it, I can handle the unfolding of my life, and they learn from me the tools and the techniques and the insights needed to become more well-equipped human being to be able to handle really difficult situations rather than fighting with life, appreciating life and seeing life as a teacher and not an enemy. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I was going to say teacher.
Yeah.
That's what sales is, right? Sales is teaching. No, that's very sweet. But I feel bad saying it. It's refreshing to know that someone could look at a situation and understand it from, like, you're looking at it from an hour-body experience. Let's be real. You're not looking at it from your own self. You're looking at it going, this is what's happening around me. This is what I need to do. And then you go back into Doug mode and you do it.
Thank you.
That's a cool trait.
Appreciate that. I appreciate you noticing that.
Professional. No, I'm just, you know, sometimes the life lesson you need is the one that wakes you up the hardest.
Totally.
So I think it's very beautiful.
Thank you, brother.
No, I appreciate it, man. I'm just happy that you honored enough to want to come on out of nowhere. So I appreciate that. So I gotta admit, this was a million times inspiring, but it was also an interesting perspective to look outside even myself, which I think is cool because I think you showed that small piece that humans should have the ability to see the conflict that they're fighting from 2 points of view, from themselves and from outside themselves. And I think that's just a testimony to who you are, how you were raised, and what you've done in your life to lead you up to this point, and probably all the people that you've inspired through your coaching and teaching, and that's a super important thing and kind of perfect. I like that word, like your father coming back. But, I mean, you're inspiring. You have such genuine energy and such a beautiful take on everything. I would say for certain things, but you have such a great positive attitude that I'm inspired. Because in conversations that could be very heavy, very dark, and very, like, whirlwind of emotions, you made it very honest and authentic for other people to hear. And maybe someone's watching this going, you know what? Fuck cancer. This sucks. but I'm going to go out today and live my life. Even if it's just hours a day that you realize that you can take control back, I think that's a lesson that you're teaching people, and I think it's a beautiful thing and a beautiful trait that you have. And I just want to thank you for trusting us and sharing your story with us. Hopefully, we did it justice. I take that very personally, but it's a pleasure getting to know you, and I want to stay in touch throughout this because I think you have a very special gift, and I think it's kind of beautiful, even though it's dark. So I thank you for taking the time to share it with us.
Thank you, brother. It was absolutely a pleasure to be here and enjoyed our conversation, and it was actually a pleasure was mine.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, should we have fun? Some rapid fire?
Let's do it.
Favorite music? Do you rage out?
Rufus Du Sol.
What is that? Who is that?
It's like EDM,
Oh.
kind of soulful EDM. Yeah.
So you like loud, get into the trance of it. Got it.
Yeah, we can say that.
Good stuff.
EDM house.
EDM house. All right, all right. And I don't know if it's limited, but do you have a favorite food?
Favorite food? I'm a man's man. Give me some steak and potatoes.
There you go. As long as it's medium rare, I'll agree with you.
Of course. 100%.
That's awesome. Do you have any crazy, ridiculous bucket list things that you're still trying to do?
I think I've lived a really amazing life. Everything I've wanted to do, I've kind of already done. You know, I've done Super Bowls and NBA Finals and trips around the world, and I mean, I'm sure I can find something. I've never been to Greece. I've been to the south of France. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, I actually want to go to Japan too. So I would say, actually, I'd put Japan. I want to do a trip to Japan. That's on my bucket list.
See, we just found something out. What's the craziest fucking thing you've done then? Because that sounds like it's a story. You must have some crazy.
The craziest thing I've ever done was going down to Zion National Park, hiking into a cave, and doing ayahuasca on a full moon.
I thought it was going to go there, but it went there. How many people visited you that night?
I think there was 8 of us, and one of the guys that came is in the San Francisco Orchestra, and he plays the cello.
Uh-huh.
And so we played the cello in this cave.
Oh,
on a
that's...
full moon, and when it was a full moon, or excuse me, yeah, full moon, sky open, and we're all on ayahuasca, and it was crazy. It's insane.
That had to have sounded amazing, though, out there.
Incredible.
Like
Yeah,
that. Did you video that?
No videos, of course, in the ceremony, but it was a one-of-one experience for sure.
That's got to be fucking cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you have a weird sense of humor and planning everything. Do you have a song that you want going out?
Song on my go out song. What would be my go out song? I would do.
Just a weird question. I don't think I've ever thought I would ask someone, but I feel like you might.
No Place I'd Rather Be by Rufus Du Sol.
No place. All right. I'm
It's
good.
true. No place I'd rather be than right here with you hanging out.
That's.
Share the message.
You have a favorite movie?
No, but I have a favorite TV series.
Okay, we'll go there next. What's your favorite TV series?
Severance.
Severance. Why have I not heard of that?
Apple TV.
Oh, I don't have
Adam
Apple.
Scott. Incredible.
What
I hope
is
I'm
it?
alive for season 3.
You'll see it. And do you have a hobby? Do you do something for fun outside of everyday?
Yeah, I have a really nerdy hobby. I collect NBA basketball cards, sports cards.
Oh, you're a card guy?
I'm a card guy. Just basketball though.
Just basketball. What's your top card?
I've got a couple of Victor Wembanyama rookie cards that are gone up in value quite a bit over the last year.
Are you a sneakerhead guy, or you have like any? No, just.
I mean, I do have a favorite movie I could answer.
Okay, what's your favorite movie? I thought I asked you that.
Yeah, I just saw Odyssey and I thought that was great. Love Christopher Nolan.
Oh, I'm trying to see it next month.
It's incredible. Got to go see it on IMAX if you can get it, go there. But I would say I love Christopher Nolan, so Inception or Interstellar.
I mean, my favorite movie, and people laugh at me, was Good Will Hunting. So,
Yeah, great movie. It's classic.
just it's that life of an underdog. So that's I resonate with that. I saw it on my first date with this girl that I loved dearly, madly actually. We dated for like 3.5 years. I almost got into a fight at the movie theater because of her that night because like 12 guys were hitting on her. That were all there and they were there so fucked up. And I used to Thai fight and box back then, so I was like, oh, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
But I just remember that movie was like my favorite. No, do you cook at all?
A little bit basic.
Yeah.
No, give myself a cook though.
But you eat super healthy, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, I'm eating keto with my new diagnosis.
Really, they want that much protein, red meat and stuff for cancer treatment. That's interesting.
I actually have a new oncologist who's a nutritionist. So I hired someone outside of the group. Her name's Jean Wallace. For anyone who has brain cancer, she does nutrition for people with cancer. And so she took a bunch of my blood work, and then based on the results of my blood work, she customized a supplement and diet plan. And keto was the best given my give him my numbers.
I love her.
Yeah, she's
That
amazing.
is something you don't hear. I need to talk to her. Because my doctors are always bitching, complaining about like eating. And I'm always like, you're not helping me right now. You're not a nutritionist. You're just telling me the pyramid scheme. And I don't
She
care.
she only works with people that have cancer.
But no, man, I'm so appreciative of this.
Yeah,
It's
thank you for having me, man. This has been really fun. I appreciate you letting me come on.